Boaz seals the deal. I want to come back and conclude the book of Ruth with you. We're starting at chapter 4. Thank you all for coming back and clicking on the channel. And for first-time visitors, my name is Vanessa. We're picking up in verse 1 of chapter 4. Boaz is meeting with the next in line's kinsman who has the right in the lineage of the family to marry Ruth, and he invites 10 of the town's elders to be a witness of this agreement. Here in verse 3, and he said unto the kinsman Naomi, that is come again out of the country of Moab, selleth a parcel of land, which was our brother Elimelech, a relative, not their biological brother. But the man declines the offer, saying, I don't want to mar my own heritage. The agreement of the stipulation to this, the Israelite custom, was for first the brothers, natural, biological, or stepbrothers in the family, to marry their brothers, their deceased brother's widow. So it sounds like that is what the guy is saying. Maybe this is a nephew or a distant cousin or a uncle. Same with Boaz. And we see that in verse 6. And the kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I mar mine own heritage. So he allows Boaz to take up on this offer to purchase this parcel of land. Now the parcel of land came with the people also. And in this instance, the people is Naomi and Ruth. And he's taking both of them. It's a package deal. Both women, because both was Elimelech's family. The wife of Elimelech and then the daughter-in-law of Elimelech. So Naomi didn't go just because Ruth invited her. Naomi came along with the land. Now we might see that it's kind of a harsh, cold statement. She's not property, she's a human being, but that was part of the package deal. The land, the people, all the possessions and inheritance of that parcel of land. He's taking it on to take care of them, to provide for them, to be their caretaker, even though he has direct interest in Ruth. Moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead be not cut off from among his brethren. Now in verse 11, and all the people that was at the gate and the elders said, we are witness that the Lord make the woman, Ruth, be like Rachel and Leah, which two did build the house of Israel, and do thou worthily in Ephrath, and be famous in Bethlehem, that their quiver be full of children, that Ruth have many children for him, as Rachel and Leah did. They by Jacob had all 12 boys, who was the pillars of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel. So this is just a good well wishing here. And let thy house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bare unto Judah, of the seed which the Lord shall give thee of this young woman. And we see that Perez starting down in verse 18. This is the lineage that leads up to Obed. And Boaz took Ruth, she was his wife, and he went into her. The Lord gave her conception, and she bare a son. And now the women of the town started celebrating Naomi, saying that Ruth is better to you than 7 sons could have been to you. This woman has gone out and secured a living for you. Now she didn't do that by herself. Naomi had a hand in that. And we saw that back over in chapter 2, where Naomi started helping Ruth to get close to Boaz, even though she did it in not such a good way. They may have both had good intentions. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing for a woman, because that is how they predominantly made a living for themselves. There was other means of women making a living for themselves. Some women owned their own parcels of land and ran businesses off of their land, supporting themselves. But most of the women were supported by their husband if there wasn't a prostitute or a soothsayer, a psychic. So that's not a bad thing for a woman to marry into money, a man who can care for her. Because reading this story, it seems that Boaz was a man about his business. He had servants, he had maidens, he had a corporation running there. He was a wealthy man. And this man, much older than this woman, we don't see their age here, but Ruth is a young woman. Let's go back to chapter 3 and down in verse 9. Let's go there. I think it is verse 9. And he said, who art thou? When Ruth was laying beside him when she came into the threshing floor where he worked. And she answered, I am Ruth, thine handmaid. Spread therefore thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman. And he said, blessed be thou of the Lord, my daughters, for thou hast shown more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning, insomuch as thou followest not after young men, whether rich or poor, men her age, closer to her age. So this is a considerable age difference. And he recognizes, okay, she likes me, because he already had eyes for her too, a much younger woman. So over here in chapter 4, he's taking initiative. Naomi told her in chapter 3, after Ruth left the threshing floor and made it back to Naomi, and she was briefing her about what was the occurrence of the conversation of the night. And Naomi told her, lay low, be quiet. Don't say nothing else to him. He'll take it from here. And he did. He was proactive, and he went to this next of line kinsman to see if the man wanted to purchase the land and take on Ruth and Naomi. I'm not saying that he took on Naomi as a wife. He took on Ruth as his wife. Now, he had to take on Naomi too. She came with the parcel of land, so he took on her to care for her, maybe like a sister, a mother, a cousin, as a near kinsman. But staying with what happened right here, Naomi had good intentions, it sounds like, and Ruth did too. They was trying to secure a living for themselves. Let's see. Let's test the waters. But the method that Naomi went by to tell her to get the man, to seduce him, go there at night, get dressed up and smell well, you know, just average talk how we do. We're not throwing darts at nobody. He came and cleaned that up and said, you shouldn't be here. This is not good. So it's just the methodology, not that you shouldn't just be rational and think about your livelihood. And today people say you're trying to be a gold digger as a woman who is maybe interested in a man who may be established. That depends on how the man sees it and how the woman sees it. What is she actually trying to do? All this modern day talk, though, it tends to take on a negative connotation and perspective and cause people to just look bad for their intentions. We don't know the intent of the heart. People can have bad intent for wanting to go after even a poor person, but to even want to be with a person who is established or having something going on for themselves, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That can be a good thing. He takes her on for his wife. Now he has a wife, and it says in verse 16, and Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom and became nurse to it. And the women, her neighbors, gave it a name, saying, there is a son born to Naomi. And they called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. Called Naomi's child, or Ruth's child, to be Naomi's child, Obed. Now we just know that this is the lineage of Naomi, Naomi's grandchild, because her natural children are deceased. So talking about the courtship and the marriage, and women in modern day talking about Boaz, I want my Boaz. Do we recognize that in the early stages of their courting, we're missing time here? Even when he noticed her and tried to make things light on her and asked his servants, let her come into the inner courts or come further over into the field where more of the barley is, she won't have to get scraps, let her get the full stalks of barley. He didn't take her from work. She may have stayed working there for another year or two. We don't know. She worked. We just see how the story progresses. Modern day, in today's society, there's a lot that moves fast, and we know that. When things move real quick. Many men will even approach a woman after maybe first date or 2 weeks. Let me take that bill off your hand. Let me help you out with that. Under the conditions of something. There's an exchange of something, an expectation. This woman kept working. He didn't relieve her fast. She kept working. He wants to talk to this next in line kinsman. So what are you willing to do, man? You're going to take her on? You're not going to take her on? Let me know, because I'm ready. And he's ready to take on their responsibilities. But we don't know what Ruth went through behind those doors. All we know is this is a man of means, of wealth. We don't know if she walked into a harem If she did, she was willing to walk into that. He didn't have to be on his last leg to take on this young woman, and she was going to be his last hope, and he can't hardly see. He see now, and I'm sure many women was after him, flocking to him. We don't see nothing about he was a virgin, that he was a widower. We don't know nothing about Boaz except he was a wealthy man, business owner, industrious. Don't know nothing about if Ruth was ignored in that house. He took on 2 or 3 more wives. We don't know nothing. All the talk is about where's my Boaz. Seek God and let God prepare the woman for the man and the man for the woman. Isn't that supposed to be the whole point of the preparation stage? Is for God to prepare the person who's asking him for something, because God is rooting out of us things. In order for people to be mature and to grow, God roots out of us. We have to be rooted out, gutted out, and then God rebuilds and plant, or taken out and are put it in. The Boaz, the man with means, come along, and then what type of union is it? Chaos. The man has to yield down and become passive. We want to become submissive, especially in today's society, dealing with a lot of today's women. We're talking about the Christian women, not the women who live for the other kingdom. Christian women have allowed a raw, untempered behavior that we don't want to address and don't want anybody to say anything about it. A woman has to be broken. That's what God-fearing women have to be. We all have to be broken. We have to be willing to let God break us. He knows where to break you at and how to put you back together. Just saying I want my is not conditioned for God to meet our request. The behavior has to be reined in. Us to come into agreement with God, to be yielded as a wife of Christ first. Christ's bride. Do we agree with the first husband, who is Christ? To be his representative of a wife, being modest in our prayer, temperate in our mannerism, being disciplined with our mouth, being humble in our attitude, being yielded for Christ to guide us, not being a busybody. When the Boaz come along, which is supposed to be an answer to the prayer that we pray, are we ready for Boaz to seal the deal? Thank you all for stopping by and clicking on this channel. I hope I said something that was encouraging and enlightening. And you all come back and visit again. Take care, you all. Bye-bye.